I'm an adult, and I call it KFAN too. But for the purposes of not being pedestrian, welcome back to FM 100.3 KFAN and the Friday Football Feast. It's PA in charge, Nordo by our side. And joining us now is Alec Lewis with The Athletic and theathletic.com, a weekly component for the Friday Football Feast at Alec_Lewis. Via the tweet machine, it's Aleca, not Exa. It's Aleca. And here he is, and he's pissed off, and this is great because Nordo and I talked this whole thing out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on the side with texting.
Oh, yeah.
Chad Greenway rolls in. It's a football funeral for a football friend on a Friday, and I end up becoming Paul Bearer Allen, the host of 9 to Noon. And the therapeutic Davenport of love has to come out of its plastic so we can console people. And here comes young Alec, still pissed off from Monday night. Something's pissing him off. He's quite irked right now. And
I've watched this game back
therapeutic Davenport of love is open for everybody.
I don't understand.
You're a journalist.
What is the therapeutic Davenport of love?
It's a metaphor yours truly invented many years ago, and did so because the football team specifically, but the core four of pro sports teams, when they advance and get far, there generally are 7 stages of sports-related grieving that transpire when the whole run's over. So we just created the metaphorical therapeutic Davenport of love.
I thought it was a Marcus Davenport thing.
It can be.
You need therapy if you sign him.
It can
If you're counting on him, you do need therapy.
Yep.
I thought, and I've heard you say that, but I think when you had Kwesi on, and you were like, if we need to talk about the therapeutic Davenport of love, and I was like, I hope that's not a Marcus Davenport thing. Anyway,
no, Davenport is a very old age word for couch. Yeah, Davenport couch.
I haven't heard that. I probably should know that.
No, that's okay.
And isn't it the kind of couch where you stretch your legs out and you don't sit on it squared up 90 degrees. It's 180 degrees.
It's almost like a chase. It's almost like you lounge on it a bit. I thought it was just a city in Iowa, but
as you talk out your whatever. Now you are objective journalist guy, so therefore when you say you're pissed off, it's just things that, they're going to frustrate you with the way Monday went, and that's Vikings-Rams. So I'm going to start here. What do you do now? See, that's been my concern with you, and I've thought about it a lot this week because you're new here. You're trying to move out of Andover, get closer to the city.
It's cold.
Your family, you fell into some cash, so now all of a sudden you got John and his wife in Florida for a majority of the winter. You don't want to go there. Now, you're familiar with Chris Thomason, right?
I know Chris.
All right. Well, when the seasons would end...
Where is this going?
Former Pioneer Press Vikings beat writer Chris Thomason.
Yeah.
He would head to, Tibet.
Correct.
Or maybe Turkey.
He's been to 92 countries.
Maybe, young Alec, maybe it's time for you to see the world. Open your eyes and recognize there's more to life than Anniston and Andover.
I will say,
good morning.
I will say, I was good morning, by the way. I was on my computer on Wednesday night in between film watching segments of this game that I've watched way too many times because
I haven't watched a playback.
I can't tell you how many times I watched it. It's embarrassing.
But why?
Why?
I don't know. I don't know.
Are you masochistic?
Why would you do that?
No, I'm just trying to figure out
Were
what
you
happened.
piercing your nipples while watching it?
The point is, I was on my computer and I'm just looking around, and
and there's nobody
on the Marriott. I'm on the Marriott website, and I'm looking at Greece, and I'm seeing what time. I'm like, it would be cool if I could just do that.
Now we're talking.
I mean, I don't know. I've got a lot of points. I've done a lot of travel. I may or may not have created more points from missing a flight Tuesday morning from Arizona.
You missed a flight?
Look,
the con game.
Look, there's been a lot going on. Okay, there's been a lot. It was a tough trip to Arizona. I get to the stadium. They don't have my credentials.
Yes.
The woman at the desk has less urgency than Matt Eberflus in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was atrocious. Then the game happens. That that Arizona trip was terrible. I stayed downtown Phoenix. Don't ever go to downtown Phoenix. There's nothing there. Anyway.
Well, with the exception of the fact the state is lawless. It's a lawless state.
It's a weird place. Kind of felt haunted.
It's lawless.
But I will say, I do, whether it's Greece, whether it's Bora Bora, whether it's St. Thomas.
Well, Thomason can show you around Cambodia.
I think I'm okay. Maybe
spend a month in Laos with Mr. Thomason.
I will say, Chris made me laugh a lot while he was here.
The best.
I mean, it was very, I laugh at a lot of things, but there's the way people act sometimes, like you. So I just laugh. I just have to.
Why aren't you going to the Senior Bowl?
I might go to the Senior Bowl, but I probably, it's.
I mean, are you hurting that badly?
No, I just need to rest. Like I told somebody yesterday.
You think I want to be here today?
Look,
I do. I'm just. Nordo was going to go one of two ways there. If it was a scowl, I would have apologized. If he laughed, then I say I'm just kidding, which I am.
I was going to say your hair doesn't look as good as it usually does.
I haven't washed it since I washed it at the Grand Hyatt Scottsdale Monday morning.
Yeah, tough hotel. Sorry.
And good morning. And it wasn't a hotel. No, it was a resort.
No, I'm not. The Senior Bowl is just like.
You're not what? Anyway, go ahead.
I can evaluate players on my own, on my computer.
I understand.
And then when I go home.
So the Athletics a bit stuck right now. You're trying to help them with some cash.
No travel for January.
I could push for it, but what am I going to do?
That's what Gessling told me.
What am I going to do? What am I going to do? A profile of
just kidding,
Shador Sanders? I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, it would be, honestly.
Well, I mean, wow. Okay, let's give it a week. Let's give it a week before we start making these rash, harsh decisions about what's next and why. Because YA, young Alec, at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, your home state, it just makes sense. And guess what? You're not even paying for it. So it makes more sense.
Yeah, but they have, so the real issue is, okay, Alec.
The New York Times is stuck.
Alec, you're going down to the Senior Bowl. What types of big stories are you doing? You're like,
Well, how about profiles on running backs for the draft? Maybe there's a big beef-eating guard. Give us you're good at giving us stuff to feast on, man.
Or like Charch would want, I mean, maybe there is a guard, corner, guard, center, corner, guard.
Oh, a combo guy.
We only have 4 picks.
The reality is, I can do that type of dirty work from here. I mean, I can call, I can, I mean, there's
it's
ways.
Winter. You hate it here during the winter if the Vikings aren't playing.
I don't hate it.
Well, you have Nordo and
I told you, I went to a Gopher hockey game like a month ago and saw Snuggerud. I thought he was getting the ice, the puck in and out of the zones.
Okay. There's Friday night. So what about the other 6 days?
Yeah, correct. Idle hands, Alec. Idle hands.
There's a lot going on.
His hands are too idle.
The North Loop. There's a lot going on. You can get into some stuff down there.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Maybe go to the Guthrie and ask him about the 2025 Christmas Carol and what goes into it.
We're off the rails.
Like
we're off the rails.
No, we're trying to help you. When you told me you might not go to the Senior Bowl, that's rock bottom, baby. Rock freaking bottom.
Yeah. Have you been to Mobile?
No. Why would I go to the Senior Bowl when I have people I can call from the field who help us with it?
That's a good point. Honestly, I remember last year I'm watching Bo Nix, and you were asking me, we're watching Bo Nix and Michael Penix, and these guys were just sailing throws.
Was the bomb?
Yeah, they were just sailing through. I remember it was a horrible performance by both guys, and now I think both might be actually good.
Okay.
Well, Penix, I thought Penix looked pretty good.
Yeah, Penix is. I mean, the arm is incredible. And then to me, he can just process the field. I'm pretty interested. And then, I mean, Bo Nix.
Way better than I thought.
Bo Nix is still
way better.
He still occupies the space that he's occupied in my mind for 7 years. Is he good? Man, he looks good. Is he terrible? Man, that didn't look good. You never really feel like you can stand on a ledge and be like, Bo Nix is great. Or Bo Nix is not good. So anyway, I don't know why we're talking about this.
I thought he played pretty darn well most of this year, and especially by rookie standards. And God, I hate it. But Sean Payton did a great job, getting him NFL ready.
Correct.
Yuck.
There were 2 press conferences yesterday. The general manager around noon and the head coach around 12:45. And I don't believe you asked a question at either one.
No, I got one in at Kevin at the very end.
About what?
The run game.
Well, I couldn't hear it because you whisper. So it was. The running game from the Rams game. Do you think you should have run more?
Nope, I didn't. No, it was just the run game for the whole season.
It feels like you're apologizing every time you ask a question.
I don't. Yeah. I don't.
That's very Midwestern of you.
I used to think you sat in the front row because you're like one of the newer beat writers and you want to be present, so therefore people get to know you. No, you sit in the front row because nobody can freaking hear you when you ask questions.
Those press conferences, I've said this on with you sitting in this seat that I'm sitting. I've said it probably 15 times. It's not why I do the job. It can be, especially now that they're streamed, can be very performative. Like if Nordo plays the audio of the clips of what those two guys said yesterday for 40 minutes, it is like a word salad with lettuce, tomatoes, carrots, cucumbers.
So there's a lot to it.
It sounds like a pretty good salad, actually.
It's a good salad. But I mean, no, they did a great job making it sound like there was something. But the reality is it was it was a lot of nothing burger.
Lash out. So now you're taking out your anguish on those who are background providers every so often, and those who run and steward the Minnesota Vikings. Now they're catching the strays because you're sad.
No, they did what they should do. There's no question when you're asked about the quarterback situation and the staff hasn't even met to go through all their options and what it might look like. What are you going to say?
Yeah.
So, but in our jobs, you got to have answers. We got to ask. Where's the extension? There's tension here. There's tension there. There's tension everywhere.
We have a developing problem.
Okay.
Because I'd like to, at 11:54:50, I would like to depart here in one piece. And if the co-host does not get a chance to start talking, well, then I'm going to get text messages and emails all weekend about his lack of word count in the final hour.
Yes.
So, Paul, please take it away here so we can acquiesce.
No, I've enjoyed the chit chat, the laid back atmosphere in the studio.
Your countenance was that of frustration.
I want to talk ball. I've got stuff to say.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I bet you do.
Like what?
I'm waiting for
I've got like 9 bullet points for you.
He's going to say Byron Murphy. Every time we talk about Byron Murphy.
His name is.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Right there. There's some Byron Murphy in here. Has some of the luster of KOC's pending extension come off?
What the hell?
Let's just dig right there.
Seriously, don't you guys know I'm with him every Tuesday for a half hour, and I don't want to lose that? Just kidding.
What did you think the Friday co-host does not limp in?
I told you I should have taken it off. Why didn't I ask?
You needed the vacation.
It's a good question. It's a good question because the two things that I've tried to balance, I'm just ignoring these other things.
I can't feel my left arm.
You're having a stroke right now. Do you have tingling in your extremities?
Don't joke.
The two things I'm trying to balance are the reality that this was a team that was projected at 6.5 wins.
Yeah.
And they won 14. So if they win 9 games and don't even get to where they got to.
I'm sorry. Not us. Everybody has to stop with that. The 6.5, got bet up to 7.5, and nobody says that.
Okay, 7.5.
Secondly, who cares about Las Vegas sports consultants' freaking opinion of an over-under on a season wins total? I've just heard it too much. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter in the equation of ascension or accomplishment for a football team.
So while I totally agree, though, I will say
I'm going to get taken deep.
That no. I think you're right. We're in lockstep with that. The general manager, kind of in his own way, Kwesi mentioned that yesterday. He noted kind of the idea.
I heard that.
Nobody thought this, nobody thought that, and then over the long weaving road to, but we won 14. It was even part of the general manager's narrative as he spoke yesterday.
But I can't talk that flippantly and directly to him. So I thought I would get it out here.
There is a reason. The point is, there is a reason that projection was what it was. Because the personnel was... the personnel was projected to be at a certain place. And for me, it's a lot on coaching to be able to raise it to the level that they raised it to.
Okay. But the way Kwesi put it, the way others have put it, is eliminate the 6.5 and just say they exceeded even like the general manager of the team's expectations.
Well, but I think it's important to point out what the expectation was.
Well, the expectation was to cash a lot of money for those who bet it from 6.5 to 7.5. So there are those out there who saw flawed number, and we're going to crush it up, but it still exceeded even that. But anyway, 3-2.
Yeah, the point is,
yes,
I've been trying to balance that with the last two games, obviously, and the coaching job that was done in the last two games. And for me, it just wasn't good enough. I mean, in the Los Angeles game, it didn't feel like they had the amount of juice that they usually have. It felt like it was flat. It felt like from an offensive design standpoint, I'm not sure if it was as good. I think there are a lot of questions to be asked about the last two games. So,
in the Lions game, I'm sorry, but I mean, if you're going to cast that affront, then I would just like to pepper you with a couple of questions.
Pepper me.
The Lions game. What part of the offensive coaching did you not like, getting guys open for 5 touchdowns that were missed by the quarterback?
There's no question that there were opportunities in the red zone that Sam Darnold should have hit. And there's no question that the offensive line was leaky to a point at which it probably affected Sam Darnold. But, the reality is, like, when you're in those moments, anything.
Well, I just put you in a box, so go to the Rams game.
No, run the football. I mean, the Rams game, there was a lot of condensed formations. So it muddied the picture for the quarterback. I just think you can be very clear in obviously placing it on the shoulders of Sam Darnold, placing a lot probably the majority on the shoulders of the offensive line.
Mm-hmm. You're negative on the head coach.
Well, my point to answer the question in general, I don't think it takes the luster off the contract extension. He is deserving and has proven over 3 years that he built an entire culture of this organization. And I think you get paid to do that. I also think he's a first-time head coach, and you can learn throughout each year and year-over-year standpoint.
Agreed.
So I expect him to receive a very hefty contract.
More than Matt LaFleur makes yearly?
I mean,
because that should be the baseline. Why shouldn't it? He's beaten him 4 out of 6 times. Doesn't run out 15 yards out on fields and get 15 yards on sportsmanlike conduct penalties. That should be the baseline.
Yeah, probably so.
Whatever Matt makes.
The baseline is going to be wherever the top of the market is, because it's like anything with them.
The top of the market is $20 million, Big Red. That ain't happening.
Well, I'm saying close to near the top of the market, which is probably around 15 million, 16.
Oh, God, that's a lot.
It's a lot of money, but that's what you pay for.
Takes care of inflation.
That's my answer to the question. It's
before taxes.
It's been hard to balance it, but
he ain't taking a flat.
No, I think in general, the luster is not taken off even as
how many years? How many years do you think his next extension is? 4?
Probably 4.
I think it's 4.
I think that's the standard.
3 on top of the one that he already has.
Maybe say 3. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be to bring you to another 4 years.
No,
but
that's what it will be. Just kidding.
Okay, all right.
I have no idea.
Okay.
How is his agent doing today?
Alec's rattled right now.
I like it.
What do you want me to say? Something?
Now let's do the same. Kwesi. So same situation, right? 1 year left on Kwesi's deal. It is a much thornier discussion with Kwesi, who has, I think, in the win column, you can say this past free agent cycle.
That's ought to be good.
You can say undrafted free agents have fared well. He's been able to find some undrafted free agents who have been contributors.
Or the coaches have.
He made the right call on Kirk.
Wow. Kwesi just caught a stray.
Kirk. Right?
The Kirk.
Right? So, I'll give him... so there's those 3 wins.
You guys are doing a great job assuring KQRS is the next home of Minnesota Vikings football.
I'm going through the positives for Kwesi. The negatives are the drafts. And that still, we as excited as we are about J.J. McCarthy, we still don't know if he's made many meaningful hits in this draft, because we have eyes on last year's draft. We have incompletes. We don't know on Dallas Turner, but we didn't get much out of him this year. And we don't know on J.J. McCarthy, and that was the heart of the last draft. Those are, drafting is fundamental to the GM job, because this is how you get young, good, cheap players into your organization. And Kwesi has not been able to do that to this point, waiting on McCarthy and a final verdict on Dallas Turner.
Yeah, terrible job with Ryan Wright, who they needed like they needed to breathe on Monday night.
He ain't heaven. He's a punter.
Now, before you respond to the general manager peppering you just received, I'd like you to think about it for a second.
The GM is Kwesi. The GM is Kwesi.
We believe. Okay, go ahead and answer it now.
Man, that hurt my voice.
Yeah, there have been 23 draft picks over the last 3 years. I'd say one of them right now is an elite player. That's Jordan Addison. A couple other starters in Will Riker, Jalen Naylor. Potential starters, Dallas Turner, Mekhi Blackman, J.J. McCarthy, obviously. But
yeah, I forgot I got to be honest. I forgot Blackman was on our team until 2 days ago.
Me too.
With that injury, that stunk.
Me too.
You know, we're going to talk over the next over the next few weeks and months. We're going to talk we're going to talk so much about the quarterback decision. Mm-hmm. But no matter what they do, if they don't start drafting better, then it's. I mean, we're going to be talking in circles. Now, I will say this.
You didn't answer his question.
No, the question was about
will Kwesi Adofo-Mensah receive a contract extension?
KOC's a done deal. I mean, he's going to be extended. I mean,
if it's 15, it might not be a done deal.
I would be stunned if the Vikings don't find a way to come to an agreement with KOC.
Alex said it might be 15 a year.
I'm saying that's market rate at the top of it with when these contracts are being given out. Mm-hmm. So,
I'd give him 17 if I had it.
Yeah,
no, with Kwesi, I mean, it'd be hard. I mean, to have made to have made the playoffs twice in 3 seasons, it'd be hard. I think for ownership kind of to sort through. I mean, really, the more interesting question to me is how much within Kevin O'Connell's contract negotiation, are you giving him more influence? Are you giving him more decision-making power, both on the roster, on the draft? And I think, like, that's where, to me, it's a very interesting conversation of the best organizations, the ones that operate the best, they have collaboration among people who think very long-term and very short-term. And that's where I hope through this process, it sticks to that as an approach.
Well, and that's what I've been trying to wrap my head around a little bit is if you're the Chiefs, for instance, and what is it, Brett Veach down there, Andy Reid has a ton of influence in terms of the direction that Brett Veach is going. And I would have a hard time with the concept that he's going to, Brett Veach is going to shove a player in Andy Reid's face and say, just take him and work with him. That's what we got at this spot and just roll with it. In this case, like as you mentioned, when we started talking about the GM, it's like some of the coaches and their influence, what Brian Flores has done in terms of his ability to kind of say, yeah, Van Ginkel, I know him from Miami. Yeah, Blake Cashman, talk to Mike Sherrills about him. I want to see that cat. Renard, his ability to identify these guys. Ivan Pace Jr. is an undrafted cat. Maybe, I don't know what the specific level of collaboration is here. I just also don't imagine that that's vastly different than any other franchise. Coaches want to coach with the guys that they identify, right?
No, 100%. Yeah. I mean, that's how it is everywhere. I did a whole story last year on the draft and how the competing incentives can often get in the way of it can affect the decisions that are made. And I think that's the balance over 3 years for Kwesi he talked yesterday about he is a first time GM. Now I thought as he was asked yesterday by Kevin Seifert about the draft, he should have been more self-critical than he was. I thought he talked about growth and development, but the results, and I've said this many times on the air, the draft is a very uncertain process. Yeah. You look at the probabilities of hit rates, it's very difficult. But I also think in the end, as difficult as the probabilities make it, you have to hit or else your organization is faced with the situation they are right now.
We can't sustain via complete replenishing via free agency every year.
No,
at some point we got to start drafting.
They need at some point this offseason, they might need 3 corners, 2 interior defensive linemen.
That you find at the Senior Bowl.
No, they need to pick. No, they only have 4 picks.
For now.
I guess
many ways to get them. Poaching was one that I have never heard a general manager say.
Well, I think it was Fat Joe who said, trade back.
Trade back. Trade back.
Mm-hmm. So he's got options.
No, the point is, there's no question from a free agency perspective, they did a great job last year, but he even admitted, to think you're just going to sustain that and replicate that year over year, it's just, that's a wild proposition. So if they don't start to hit in the draft, which again, I know is a very random process in general.
Wasn't random for the Rams.
Yes, they have done a good job. If you look at all of the studies that have been done on the history of the draft ever, a 3-year sample for a GM is not sticky over the next 3-year sample, which is to say that it is not always obvious that a GM's just better than every other GM at the draft. The reality is, though, as much as I say that, you have to hit or else it is really, really hard to sustain success in the NFL, and that's what they want to do.
In closing here for this segment, that's something that I just saw, and you probably already knew. Why wouldn't you? So Brian Flores is interviewing with two teams today, I understand, the Jets and the Jaguars, for their head coaching jobs. There's a member of the offensive staff in the second round of the Seahawks offensive coordinator search, Grant Udinsky.
What? Wow. I saw that yesterday.
He's one of Kevin's right-hand people with this offense, and best of luck to him. So I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that would be a big loss.
I want to say I hope he doesn't get it, but that's not the right thing to say.
I think the reality is, regardless,
he's awesome.
They're going to probably, I would expect as they reconfigure this staff for this upcoming season, like a title bump for, he's only 28 years old, but.
Let's just look at the Rams staff, the bottom 8, and takes 4 of those and call it a day.
The point is, Grant Udinsky, is a very, he's a confidant for Kevin O'Connell. He leans on Grant a lot. Grant was massive in the quarterback room this year in multiple conversations with a lot of different people within the building. You hear just how much he meant to that room. So it would be a massive loss, and Kevin O'Connell knows that.
Rube Nation, 9 to noon devotees. Do you like money?
Excuse me while I whip this out.
The fan not along with anybody, along with you, the listeners, I should say. They're trying to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest here. So go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword bank. The keyword is bank this hour at KFAN.com. Good luck. 9 to noon returns around the corner.
The 2024 Vikings season eulogies took place yesterday, and I'm Paul Bearer Allen. It's a funeral for a football friend. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell both had some things to say yesterday about the Vikings special teams and the defense and the offense and the quarterback's room.
It's a remarkable thing to have all those guys in the room, and how we build forward and how we put things together as we move into the future will be based upon what gives us the best chance to win, what gives us the best chance to put the best version of the Minnesota Vikings football team on the field. And I think it's way too early to, in that process to really identify exactly what that looks like. But we're going to go through every layer of it, and we're going to clearly decide that path that best helps us move forward to win games.
Oh my God! Kirko, chill!
So that was the head coach, and then here's the general manager specifically on the rise of Sam Darnold in 2024.
We thought there was a chance Sam Darnold could play at a high level. Just seeing what he had done previous stops and what kind of Kevin's infrastructure and our infrastructure here has done for other quarterbacks that have played here, we thought there was a chance for a high level. Did I know it was going to be a Pro Bowl? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. I think I joked with Sam that I'm going to retire off the bet I made in Vegas. I'm kidding, not allowed to bet.
Here, Alec.
I think that there was some part of us that all believed that Sam was going to have a really good season.
That's why he sits in the front row.
That was Alec.
I don't think that was me.
Alec, the
3/4 of the other people in there don't talk, so it had to be you.
So in a similar vein to a part of our conversation, expectations into, expectations during, and then ultimately you're on the cusp of a 1 seed, you get a playoff game, what the expectations were internally there. And bringing that specifically now to the quarterback conversation, what Sam Darnold should have offered or was expected to offer. You deal with the injury to J.J. McCarthy. He plays at a Pro Bowl level. Then the last two are just hideous all around for everybody involved. Where's your head at? As we've talked to multiple people this week, where's your head at on the quarterback situation now that the season's over?
Yeah, I wrote about this today, but really to me, and they both kind of said it in their responses. This is not a question of, is it going to be Sam? Is it going to be JJ? It's a question of, what move can they make that allows them to also fix all of the other holes they want to fix on the roster? Because what you pay the quarterback affects what you can spend everywhere else. And so really, with Sam, it's like, is there a number with him that could allow you to fix all of the other holes. If there's not, I mean, like I said, like you guys know this. I mean, interior of the offensive line, they probably need a pass rushing interior defensive line, cornerbacks, potentially safety. I mean, running back, obviously.
I think we need a running back.
There are a lot of holes. The team has approximately like $60 million in cap space to spend.
Yeah.
Maybe more avenues to create more there. But if you pay Sam Darnold, let's just say the franchise tag, which is around $40 million, then you only have $20 million to spend on everything else. And
nobody's giving Sam the franchise tag.
Right. So let's say, what's the number? $30 million?
No.
$25 million?
No.
For franchise, it's 38 to 40.
No. The franchise is around 40.
To re-up.
But I'm saying 25?
No.
You don't think another team is going to pay him $25 million?
Another team might.
That'll be the most he will make on the free market, would be about $25 million from a team that has kind of no alternative. You're the Steelers, you're the Raiders, you're the Giants, you're not in striking range to go get one of the rookie quarterbacks. You don't have any other alternative. You bring in Sam at $25 million, much like the deal, a little bit like the deal, probably 1 year, $25 million. He's got to go prove it again.
Well, I think if that's the case, again, for this front office and for this coaching staff, they're going to do what they did last year. And I think they both kind of said it in their answers. They sat knowing that the Kirk Cousins decision was a massive decision.
Yep.
The front office and the coaching staff, the key decision makers, they went through all of their options in terms of, if we bring this guy back, this is what we can do elsewhere. If we bring a guy back and draft a guy, this is how our future shapes up. They're going to do that with this entire process the way they did last year. And ultimately, I mean, I think with how much they want to improve the interior of the offensive line, with how much they might need to spend to add a cornerback, and with the lack of draft picks that they have this upcoming year, they're going to have to spend. I mean, it becomes very hard to think of a path where you pay Sam Darnold a lot of money and you can also do what you want elsewhere. We'll see.
Agreed. No, you're 100% right, yeah. And Sam's not going to be here.
But that's how you have to think of this conversation, I think. It is not, should it be Sam or is JJ ready? No. It's can we make this roster what we want to make it with one path or with the other path? And I think it becomes very hard knowing that another team that is desperate will probably pay Sam Darnold a certain amount of money. Mm-hmm. It becomes hard to think how you could maximize the roster while also paying Sam a lot of money.
Well, sorry, Church, real quick though. Let me ask you this then. It might not be part of the conversation if JJ is ready to rock, but do you find confidence in that group that they do believe that JJ McCarthy is still absolutely, when he's healthy, ready to go?
Well, I mean, I think at some point, I mean, it's impossible to know that answer right now. Like, is he ready to go in September of 2025? That's what everyone's asked that a billion times. Is JJ going to be ready to start at the beginning of the 2025 season? I wish I had a crystal ball. Is he back on the field healthy? Yes. Does he probably need to put on a considerable amount of weight? Probably so. Does he need to reshape his mechanics and establish rhythm in them the way he had last training camp? Yes. Will he be able to do all of that until September? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But if he does, as Kwesi said yesterday, they're going to evaluate that. They have very smart people in the positions to be able to identify whether a guy's ready or not. And if they deem him ready, then they'll make that decision. But you're also, like, if it's JJ, you're also going to have a veteran quarterback, whether it's a Daniel Jones, whether it's someone else on the free agent market. It's not like they're just going to go into the season where it's like, oh, JJ's not ready. All of a sudden we've got nobody left. So that's the likely path, even if they move off of Sam Darnold.
The final Friday football feast segment for today is next.
I can't wait until tomorrow.
The Duke.
Tomorrow might very well be too late.
The Duke is on fire.
I can't wait.
All right, go ahead.
Wait until tomorrow.
Hi, Alec.
Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm going to hit you with the notable free agents for the Vikings. Should the team re-sign these guys at market value?
Let's do it.
Okay.
4 minutes.
Sam Darnold.
Good start.
We got to get that out of the way first,
at
right?
Market value,
Yep.
probably not.
Okay, so we'll go no on Sam Darnold. Left tackle Cam Robinson.
No.
Even though we don't know the state of our left tackle on week 1 for next year.
The answer would be no.
Okay.
You watched the Rams game?
Yeah, there's that.
Wow, just go Zimmer on it.
Safety Harrison Smith. Should try to re-sign him at market value.
3 minutes.
Yes.
You can expand on this.
No,
we do have 3 minutes.
Oh, sorry. I don't know if this was the end. Harrison Smith, I mean, if he wants to return, and I think a lot of that's probably going to, I mean, Brian Flores and what his situation ultimately ends up being, if he's back here, I think Harrison loves playing for him. So I think so. He's huge communication-wise for what they do defensively.
Yeah, I think Flores influences a lot of that on the defensive side.
So much.
Cam Bynum as well. I'm sure that name will come up.
Cornerback Byron Murphy.
I mean, it depends what the market ends up being. Like his agent, and I've said this, is Zeke Sandu of Clutch Sports, who's the same agent as Daniil Hunter, and he's willing to raise the price. He's willing to go a long way. So how far would they have to go? That's really the question for me to make that decision. But he's obviously the most reliable cornerback that they have, and if they lose him and they lose Shaq Griffin, they lose Stephon Gilmore. I mean, you turn to Mekhi Blackman coming off the ACL, Dwight McGlothern. I mean, You talk about the importance of that position.
Well, now you got Nudie catching strays.
No, I like Nudie. Love him. I really do like him. And I like Blackman, but he's coming off the ACL.
Fair.
All right. Since you mentioned Gilmore and Griffin, no.
I'm with no.
No. Okay, we agree.
Great guys, great veterans.
Why do you make it sound like they're sour milk?
No,
Griffin and Gilmore? No. Seriously.
No, it's not nothing. I love both those guys. Stephon, I talked to after the game, the Rams game, in the tunnel. Great.
And he loved it here.
Yeah, he was great.
He loved it here. Church. 2
safety
minutes.
Cam Bynum.
2
free market
minutes to post
value.
time.
Do you sign him?
Well, the interesting thing is there are a lot of good safeties that are going to hit the free agent market. There is Justin Reed of the Chiefs, Javon Holland of the Dolphins, Julian Blackman of the Colts, Andre Sisco from the Jaguars. So, like, how will that affect Cam Bynum's market? Where will he end up within that market? And then what happens with Harrison Smith? Because if you lose both continuity at safety, Josh Metellus is obviously a safety, but he's better in the box than he is in the deep half. So, I just have to see where the market lies for him, but it might be tough because they negotiated an extension before the season. It didn't happen. Will Cam's camp come down from what they wanted then? We'll see.
2 more. Running back Aaron Jones. Resign him at market value.
Maybe. I'd say maybe. I'm open to it. He obviously played every game, but he was banged up throughout most of the year. He's great in the passing game, which they want for their offense, obviously.
Great might be a stretch,
and
I love Cam.
Say.
But he does pretty good. He does a very good job.
And we were talking about Aaron Jones, but not Cam. But no, I think that's why. I also have said that drafting a running back.
1 minute.
I think drafting a running back is very very likely. It's the most deep position in the draft, probably.
They're going to take Boise State's Genty.
Really?
Yeah. Hey, everybody laughed when I said to Bill Guerin, you're going to take Zeev Boyum from Denver, and he did. So I'm laying that out here right now.
I would not be opposed to that, except he'll have nowhere to run if we don't improve the line.
Or nowhere to hide.
Lastly, quarterback Daniel Jones. Market value deal, which would be as a backup.
Maybe. I think maybe. If you get him for $10 million to pair with J.J. McCarthy to then create a competition or what have you as the season begins, I think that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Because it allows you then to pay, again, if you need to pay cornerbacks, you can do that. If you need to pay all interior offensive linemen, you can do that. If you need to pay interior defensive linemen, you can do that. If you need to pay a running back, you have much more latitude to do that. And the reality is, when you only have 4 picks and only one of them in the top 2 rounds,
yes,
you're going to have to pay guys to be able to raise the floor of what this team could be.
And in closing, do you have any market or markedly large opinions, big opinions on the games this weekend? Like it all came to me yesterday, epiphany from the Gridiron Gospel. Buffalo is going to get steamrolled at home by the Baltimore Ravens. I would take that one and give 1.5, 3.5, and 7.5. So something like that. You got any big ones?
Nothing crazy. I can't wait to watch the games.
Me too.
I would say
Houston, KC.
The more I watch these games in the playoffs, yes, quarterbacks, obviously, but running game and trench play. I mean, that's it. Like, if you look at the teams that run the ball the most in the NFL, it's like Ravens, Bills, Eagles. I mean, the teams that run the ball well, they win.
And they throw to their tight ends.
The teams that are built in the trenches, they win. The Eagles, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, who's had a phenomenal year, they're impressive. The Eagles front and their offensive line with the coaching they have on the offensive line, it's very impressive. The Bills, they have a great offensive line. They've drafted guys. They brought in guys. It's helped them out at a time where they've taken on a lot of dead money. So I just want to watch whether that strategy is a continued formula for success in the playoffs as I think about the vision for this team moving forward.
Give us 2 Super Bowl teams and a brief why with a right to change it when we see you next week.
Ravens, I think Lamar's playing out of his mind, and the offense is so well done with Todd Monken as the coordinator. In the NFC, I might just take the Lions because I think their offense is freaking incredible.
Have a wonderful weekend. Great to see you. Alec Lewis, the Athletic, Paul Charchi. There's Nordo over there, and I'm Paul Allen. The plan is to be back Monday and rise and shine at 9. Thank you very much for listening. God bless all of you for that, and we'll talk soon. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
9 to noon.
If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.